kira-kira tanda-tandanya ya yang bisa dilihat misalnya abortus 4 bulan, kemudian juga ada plasentitis ya di plasentanya. Jadi tadi karena kesulitannya untuk mengetes sekian jenis jamur ya yang banyak. Okay?
And these are pictures illustrating what I mean by moldy feed. This is a dairy farm in China. This is their corn silage, and ideally it's packed very tight and has no oxygen. So this is not a good job. And you can see in the close-up, this is you can see there's mold, and this isn't the mold that causes the infection, but when you see mold like this, you know there's problems in the feed in general.
Ya, ini contoh bagaimana penyimpanan dan tadi oksigennya kurang segala macam, akhirnya banyak tumbuh jamur segala macam gitu. Saya kira sudah biasa, tapi kita tidak pernah sadar juga ya. Jadi banyak tumbuh jamur di situ yang akhirnya bisa dimakan sama sapi ya, menimbulkan permasalahan di sana. Saya kira sudah sadar kita, tapi belum melakukan. Oke.
And then, of course, we have BVD, bovine viral diarrhea, caused by pest virus, and it has an extremely complex epidemiology. The major thing is what age the cow is when she's infected, and that determines what will happen. But the clinical signs of this are sporadic abortions, and then there's often congenital abnormalities. There's a lot of ways to diagnosis, but it's extremely complicated because you can have a carrier state, and the organism is constantly in and out of the herd, so you don't know if it's the cause of your problem or not. But the major thing is to avoid persistently infected animals being brought into the herd. So best practice is to test every newborn calf.
Oke, jadi ini bovine virus diare, jadi penyebab abortus juga. Ini penyebabnya sangat kompleks ya. Kemudian juga tergantung pada umur kebuntingan ya. Jadi agak kompleks untuk mengamatinya ya. Tapi dia clinical sign-nya, tanda klinisnya itu adalah ya sporadis abortus, kemudian juga kemungkinan ada abnormalitas kongenital, jadi bawaannya. Kemudian isolasi virusnya, saya kira ini di jaringan fetus. Kemudian yang penting ini kontrolnya memang sebaiknya dipotong ya, dikaling gitu ya. Kemudian untuk mencegahnya saya kira itu dilarang untuk menyatukan hewan yang sakit ke yang sehat. Jadi memang benar-benar harus dikontrol ini. Kita ada BVD tapi dibawa ke ke kelompok yang sehat, ini juga bisa semoga. Saya kira udah banyak ya kejadian. Ada ya? Mohon lapor ada ya Pak ya.
So on the left, there's a typical BVD calf with the hydrocephaly. And then on the right is Pestigard vaccine. This is the one that's licensed in Australia by Zoetis.
Ini adalah tipikal kasus daripada BVD tadi ya. Jadi itu ada kelainan ya, kelainan dari yang kongenital dari kelainan. Okay.
And then this is a disease of major importance in Australia, not because it causes terrible clinical disease, but for export. China is very concerned about IBR, and it has a respiratory spread. So in Australia, we usually just see a mild strain with just a slight respiratory infection, some mucus, some discharge from the eyes, but it can also cause sporadic abortions. particularly after the respiratory disease has run through the herd.
Ya, jadi IDR ini juga salah satu penyebab lain, ini jadi concernnya mereka juga, tapi karena memang Cina juga sangat concern terhadap penyakit ini. Kemudian dia penyakit penyebar melalui respiratori ya, jadi gampang sekali untuk menyebar gitu ya, pernapasannya.
And the diagnosis, either immunohistochemistry or PCR on fetal tissues in the case of an abortion, but probably more useful on a herd basis is serology of the dam. We do a lot of ELISA tests for IVR. It can be a little annoying because in Australia the marker vaccine is not licensed. So once you've vaccinated your herd for IVR, you can never export them to China. So we do a lot of screen testing, and someday I hope the marker vaccine will be registered in Australia.
Oke, jadi tadi ada vaksin segala macam ya ini, jadi dia harapannya ada ketemu marker segala macam, jadi dengan PCR dan sebagainya. Serologi juga sering dilakukan. Oke.
And this is just a picture to remind you, IVR, the common English name for it is red nose, because it's tropic for the nasal mucosa. But in 20 years of working with cattle, I don't think a farmer has ever called me to treat this problem. Everyone just accepts that it exists.
Ya, ini contoh kasus red nose, jadi hidungnya merah-merahan gitu ya, ini ciri yang terjadi. Okay.
And this is the vaccine, the only vaccine available in Australia. So the company can charge whatever price it wants. This one bottle is 700 Australia dollars, 125 doses.
Oke, jadi ini jenis vaksinnya yang ada tersedia di Australia. Ya kalau tadi hari ini $700 Australia, satu botol. Saya itu untuk berapa? How many doses? 125, 125 dosis. 25 kali $700, silahkan dihitung aja, cukup. Okay.
So as I said before, I'm waiting for the day the marker vaccine is available. It will improve the health of our cattle so much because people will be able to vaccinate early in life and avoid the disease and still have the opportunity for export.
Ya, dia berharap segera marker vaksinasi dan mungkin akan jadi tidak mengganggu ekspor segala macam.
Another comment is this vaccine is a killed vaccine. There's a very good modified live vaccine, but we're not yet allowed to use it. I'm just waiting again for the day. Some of the better products are more available in Australia. Live vaccine would be better for us, but we have to use this product, the killed vaccine.
Oh, jadi sebenarnya yang bagus itu live vaksin, tapi katanya dia menggunakan kill vaksin. Silahkan ditanyakan apakah banyak bagiannya. Okay.
Just to emphasize that, I had a scientist tell me giving this killed vaccine is almost the same as giving saline, water. Not very effective. The live vaccine is very effective. This is a relatively newly studied problem, Neospora caninum or Neospora, depending how you like to say it. I first learned about it in California in year 2000. It was seen a lot there in large dairies that have dogs running around. So it's closely associated with dogs. It requires a dog in the life cycle. Basically, the dog defecates in the feed. the cows ingest it, and in a naive herd, up to a third of the herd can have an abortion.
Ya ini jenis penyakit yang agak baru, saya pernah bicara juga di karantina waktu. Ini memang penyakit agak baru, ya tahun 2000 ya tadi ditemukannya. Kemudian ini karena di peternakan tuh biasanya juga ada anjing ya, jadi anjing tuh apa namanya, fesesnya apa kena makanan sapi, jadi dimakan di situ ada bibitnya apa penyakitnya, sumber penyakitnya tadi dari anjing kan, neospora kan ini. Ini saya kira peternakan kita juga sama ya, di rakyat itu anjing-anjing liarnya berkelilingan di situ kan. Okay.
And I think this is a disease that could be potentially important in Indonesia in the context of your breeding cattle, your beef cattle. Because we have a lot of dogs in Australia, and it's not closely monitored in Australia, but I can't see how it wouldn't be happening here. So it's just something to be aware of for the Indonesian environment.
Yeah.
So here's a quick thing, you can refer to that in your packet. But this is Australia. This is very typical of how we manage our cattle. So I think it's worth it if you have customers who are looking at an abortion, particularly in Brahman cattle, you need to consider this disease.
Ya, jadi kalau ada abortus, ya, saya kira di Indonesia juga menjadi konsep ya, karena memang anjing tadi kan ada di mana-mana gitu. Jadi dia menganggap pasti nih juga di Indonesia menjadi problem. Okay.
And I just wanted to touch on the diagnosis. Immunohistochemistry and PCR in fetal tissues is effective. Also, antigen capture ELISA brain tissue is the tissue preferred for that.
Diagnosis tadi dengan imunohistokimia atau PCR jaringan fetus ya, jadi bisa ini atau dengan ELISA juga di ini tantangan baru. Silakan.
Trichomoniasis, also a small issue in Australia, similar to Vibrio. Recommend testing all the bulls because they act as carriers. And again, the major risk is infertility, not just abortion.
Oke, ini trichomonas ya, walaupun tidak terlalu banyak ya, jadi tapi ditransmisikan tadi melalui seksual ya, kemudian juga ini penyebabnya menyebabkan tadi infertilitas, jadi tidak subur nih. Di samping kita kan banyak yang nggak subur nih, kenapa nih? Penyebabnya saya kira perlu diperjelas lagi. Oke.
And this is a pet subject of mine because I've been involved in some research for this. And we had this is the customer in Vietnam I was talking about before with the big loss.
Okay. You are expert in Vietnam with malaria?
Yes. So I was saying that's why this topic is important to me because it caused the big loss in Vietnam last year.
Oh, jadi di Vietnam ini penyebab yang utama juga ini kehilangan apa namanya kerugian yang ekonomi akibat dari penyakit malaria.
So I think this is a problem that you will see in Indonesia more and more. It's been seen in Pakistan, China, Vietnam, Philippines, and Japan, but it hasn't been very well described in the literature yet because there's been some technical problems with diagnosis.
Oke, jadi ini sudah menjadi problem di Cina, dari di mana-mana ya negara-negara tersebut, dan menjadi problem karena memang untuk diagnosisnya yang belum ada. Okay.
So the hallmark clinical sign is anemia, profound anemia. Pack cell volume even less than 10% in cattle.
Ya, jadi tanda klinisnya anemia. Jadi, ya kita lakukan ke analisis itu ya. Tapi ke depan Artiku sudah tahu bagaimana menganalisis apa kejadian tanda-tanda klinisnya. Oke.
The good news is there is a medicine which works very well. It's unfortunately not available or registered anywhere in Asia right now, but it's widely available in Africa and India and Pakistan. So I'm working with some pharmaceutical companies to try to register it in Southeast Asia.
Oh, jadi treatmentnya dengan what kind of disease itu? This is antibiotic or what? Oh, antiprotozoa. Oh ya, jadi treatmentnya bisa dapat itu upar cure ya, antiprotozoa mungkin ada juga di Indonesia ya. Efektif juga.
This disease behaves in the same manner as malaria behaves in humans.
Oh, dia seperti malaria di manusia ya.
And similarly, this is a medicine that works in the same way as the malaria medicine, maybe something like quinine.
Quinine ya, seperti di orang kena malaria kan diobatin dengan itu.
These are pictures of this case in Vietnam. Here we have anemia, very bad anemia, anemia with jaundice in the eye. The rounded edge of the liver. It should be sharp, but you can see it's very curved. The gallbladder is enlarged from starvation. And then you can see the yellow color, the jaundice. And then finally, this was a late-term abortion, more than 8 months.
Oke ya, jadi itu tanda-tandanya anemia ada di apa di mulut, kemudian di mata ya, kemudian tadi apa bentuk hatinya yang apa ya tidak apa istilahnya tidak ya runcing, jadi runcing ya, ya. Kemudian tadi warna kekuningan ya, kemudian juga abortus di umur kepentingan terakhir late ya.
So if you see anemia and abortion, consider Tyleria. It's not in many books yet, but I promise you it's coming.
Yeah.
I said if you see anemia and abortion together, consider Tyleria.
Oh, jadi kalau melihat ada anemia kemudian abortus, ya kita lebih condong diagnosisnya ke Tyleria.
So in Vietnam, we didn't have access to very good facilities, but this is a human hospital. This is a technician who studies malaria. So we asked him to look at our blood smears. So this is the protozoa.
Oke, jadi di Vietnam fasilitasnya tidak lengkap, jadi ini menggunakan apa namanya human ya, apa laboratorium untuk human, kemudian dia apa namanya melakukan apa dari pengamatan dan ditemukan dari apa Tyleria dari yang ada nokta ya kelihatan.
So the first step is blood smears, then confirmation by PCR.
Ya, jadi sebaiknya blood smear dulu, kemudian dikonfirmasi dengan PCR ya.
So I just wanted to show, we've written a paper about that case. Hopefully it will be published in the next, 6 months.
Ini contoh apa namanya publikasi yang ditulis dan mungkin dalam waktu 6 bulan akan terbit. Kalau mereka di sana biasanya gitu rajin untuk mempublikasi apa yang dihasilkan di lapangan. Okay.
And for you scientists in the room, the purpose of the paper was we were using semi-quantitative PCR to see why this disease, which is endemic in Australia, became a clinical problem after export to Vietnam.
Ini segera diagnosis yang lebih lanjut ya, jadi PCR ini.
So this is the number of copies of DNA. So basically this just shows that the affected animals had a high number of copies compared to these were clinically normal animals, low number of copies, and these were sick ones.
What is the normal, the small one?
Yes,
This is the
sick.
sick. Oh, jadi dari apa DNA-nya ya, kopinya ini kelihatan. Ini nanti tolong ditanya lagi silakan. Jadi kalau yang normal itu pendek begitu, tapi kalau yang ini banyak. Okay.
Now moving along to sheep, almost everything you say about sheep can be applied to goats, but these are probably the top 4 causes of abortion in sheep, at least as we understand it now. Enzootic abortion of ewes, abbreviated EAE, Toxoplasma gondii, Campylobacter various species, and Salmonella species.
Ini adalah beberapa penyebab abortus yang di domba ya. Enzootic abortion, Toxoplasma, ya, Campylobacter dan Salmonella. Okay.
And this is data from the UK, from their from all their lab submissions where they did reach a diagnosis. This is how it breaks down. So you can see again the most popular is enzootic abortion of ewes, Toxoplasma, and then Campylobacter and Salmonella. But these are the big 2, enzootic abortion and Toxoplasma. That's in the UK. So there isn't a lot of good data available for Indonesia or Malaysia yet, but I would suspect it's a similar profile.
Oke, jadi ini data di UK ya, penyebab abortusnya enzootic paling tinggi ya, kemudian Toxoplasma. Tapi di Indonesia belum ada data about something.
No, I can't find it.
Okay. Yeah, next.
So for enzootic abortion of ewes, it's a chlamydia type organism. The transmission is through exposure to infected materials. The tricky thing is if they're infected as a kid or a lamb, they'll abort first pregnancy and then they'll be immune for the rest of their life. But if they're infected late in the pregnancy, they'll abort the very next pregnancy.
Oke, ini penyebabnya chlamydia abortus, kemudian ini yang jadi masalah dia kalau dia terkena apa ya, exposure ke yang kena apa terinfeksi ya. Ya ini kalau infeksinya pada saat masih kecil gitu ya, abortusnya itu akan terjadi pada saat kebuntingan pertama. Tetapi dia kemudian akan imun, akan kebal. Kemudian kalau infeksinya terjadi pada kebuntingan akhir, maka abortusnya akan terjadi pada kebuntingan berikutnya. Jadi tidak abortus di yang tadi ya, dari kebuntingan akhir, tapi di next pregnancy-nya. Okay.
So the preferred diagnostic method for us, at least in Australia, is ELISA. You can also try for immunofluorescence PCR or isolation from fetal tissues, but ELISA is the quickest and least expensive and has excellent sensitivity and specificity.
Oke, jadi di Australia tetap yang paling efektif adalah dengan ELISA, walaupun bisa digunakan dengan fluorescent, antibody dan lain sebagainya. Tapi ini cukup high sensitivity juga ya, jadi bisa gampang terdeteksinya. Okay.
In some places in the world, the farmers like to give their whole herd or their whole flock an injection of oxytetracycline at least once a year, just to try to keep this under wraps.
Ya, di beberapa negara digunakan penyuntikan oxytetracycline dengan dosis 20 mg per kilogram, jadi minimal atau di 1 tahun ya sekali. Okay.
And this is the sort of typical clinical sign. It's not specific, but if you see a lot of bloody tails, you should consider enzootic abortion abuse.
Jadi apa tipikal tanda-tanda, jadi kalau ada darah di belakang, jadi abortusnya ini tadi enzootik ya kemungkinan. Oke.
And this is a diagram based on some information I got from IDvet from Anna. This is one way to diagnose a suspected case of chlamydia. So first, you have to decide if you're going to do an investigation. Probably, if you have 3 abortions in 1 week, it's a good time to study the problem. So you do 3 PCRs. Then you can do, if you get 0 positives, it's unlikely to be chlamydia, of course. If you get 2 positives or 3 positives out of 3, it is a probable cause of the abortions. The tricky thing is if you get 1 out of 3, you know that it's circulating in the flock, but you don't know for sure if it's causing the abortion. So at this stage, you can either do PCR or you can do serology titers. And for me, I would probably do the titers. So you pick 5 recently aborted females, take 2 samples, 15 days apart. Okay, and then from these titers, if fewer than 2 out of the 5 pairs seroconvert, it's unlikely. And if 2 or more out of 5 seroconvert or show rising titers, it's probably chlamydia.
Oke, ini kira teknis ya nanti. Ini mungkin dari IDvet nih bagaimana teknik sampling, kemudian bagaimana kalau dia positif 2, positif 1, arahnya kemana sehingga menemukan apakah dia memang penyebabnya chlamydia atau seperti chlamydia ya. Jadi ini saya kira untuk IDvet ini penting nih alur teknik pemeriksaannya untuk memastikan bahwa ini penyebabnya chlamydia atau bukan. Itu aja. Okay.
So, I saw someone take a picture of the slide, but if you want me, I can email these more complicated slides.
Ya, bisa di email nanti kalau mau ya.
Q fever, this is another problem, particularly in Australia, also in California, USA, caused by Coxiella burnetii, is exposure to body fluids and fetal membranes. It causes late-term abortions, and there's a carrier status, unfortunately.
Jadi Coxiella burnetii, kemudian dia ini mengenai cairan